So you've probably bought the rodecaster Duo and wonder how to hook this up to the Xbox Series X. Well, I'm about to explain how to do it. So if you saw my previous videos a while back, I did a video on my streaming setup and I used to use this. So I've upgraded now from the Go XR to the rodecaster Duo, and it did create a problem. The only reason I bring this up is because when I did a video quite some time ago, basically if you was connecting a games console, you'd use that port there. You could use like an optical cable, whereas you can't do that anymore with the rodecaster Duo because there is no optical cable, so you have to find a way around it. And it was kind of a pain really, because the main issue you have is that if you had a PlayStation, from my understanding, I'm not like an audio expert, is you can pretty much just plug in the PlayStation pretty much to the rodecaster Duo, but because the Xbox is set up in such a way with sound and stuff, you just can't do it natively, which is kind of annoying. You can't just sort of plug it and play. So I had to find a way around that. But in this video, I will also include how to hook it up in a streaming setup similar to what mine is. Because if you are a streamer or getting into streaming, this setup actually could be quite ideal for you. I did a previous video quite some time ago which did really cover this with the Go XR and a few other bits and pieces. I did make a little mistake on it, which is really annoying because I didn't even notice until someone pointed it out, so that was kind of annoying. But hopefully this video there'll be zero mistakes. But anyway, let's get into it. So the first thing you will need to get this to work is you will need a HDMI switch box with an audio extractor. This is the one that I used for quite some time. If you go on my previous video for the Go XR, this is the one I used. And I've still got it to this day. It seems to be fine. It does 4K 60 Hertz. As you can see, it's got 4 inputs and 1 output HDMI. It's got the optical cable. That's what I used to use for the Go XR. And it's also got an aux LR audio output. Now that's very important. So this is pretty straightforward to set this particular thing up. So all we have to do is plug in power supply power cable, plug in a HDMI cable from the Xbox to one of the 4 inputs, doesn't matter which one, then plug in one HDMI from the output port all the way into your monitor or TV. So when actually trying to solve this method, this is actually one of the ones which was suggested to me. I tried this and it didn't work, and I'm going to assume that it was just a faulty cable, so I had to send it back and try a different method, because this in theory should have worked. And then when I did my next method, which I'm about to show you, I did like a makeshift way and it worked. So it definitely, I knew straight away that at least this other method worked, but this one should work. So this particular cable, all you have to do is plug in the 3.5 into the aux cable, which is in the HDMI switch box, and then plug in the two 6.35mm stereo cables into the rodecaster Duo, and it should work. Once you go and set it up to the line in, it should work. But like I said before, it didn't work for me, so I'm not really sure where I went wrong there, but in theory it should work. But I'm just suggesting this in case you are using like a different setup. You could try this and it might work for you. So this is where I actually became super unstuck, right? Because I didn't understand what went wrong with the previous thing, and I had to try and work out what it was. And after Googling, I eventually sort of came to the conclusion of how to solve this, and it was super annoying. So anyway, you need a 3.5 to 3.5 audio cable, which actually I happen to have, so that saved me a bit of time. Then I needed an adapter to plug into the XLR port, which luckily I also do have as well, which was for my headset, but it's like a screw on top, so it didn't fit perfectly. So I plugged one 3.5 into the aux cable port, into the HDMI switch box, and then I plugged the other one into the adapter, which didn't fit properly, stuck it into the XLR port, wiggled it around just enough, and then I managed to set up line in, and it actually worked. So that is how you hook it up. I've done a diagram later as well to explain this better, but that is all you have to do, is do that. Now, of course, you can get like a 3.5 and get like the other end to fit the XLR port, but in my case I just got the adapter because it was like £2. So hopefully that does work for you. So once you plug that all in, it should work fine. You might have to crank up the volume a little bit. Mine's currently set at 28 dB and it's perfectly fine. Also, I thought I'd just add that if you do happen to buy a rodecaster Duo from Amazon, for some reason they don't actually have the like native plug, so you might want to buy this before buying it. I mean, they might include it now, but when I bought it, it did say in the reviews at the time of when I bought it that it might not be included. Some did say it was, which is a bit annoying, but it's worth buying one. I bought this one, it works fine. So I've done this really simple diagram. I know it's amazing, isn't it? But I thought I'd try and keep it as simple as possible. So we have the Xbox on the left, we get a HDMI cable, plug that into the Xbox, plug it into the HDMI switch. You have to plug it into one of the 4 inputs, so you can plug other things in there if you wish to. Then you get another HDMI cable, you plug one into your TV or monitor, and then back into the output of the HDMI switch box. Then we have the 3.5 audio cable, plug one into the aux port, which in my case would be on the far right as it's labeled there, the AUX LR audio output. Then we get the other end of that cable, plug it into that adapter, and then we plug that into the XLR port. Now there are two of them, they're the big round black ones on the far right. The first one I've used for my microphone. So the second one, you just put it in the center, push it in, and there you go. Then you just have to go to the settings, like I said before, and go to the line in, and then there you go. You should have audio switch on your Xbox and you should be fine. I did have to play around the settings, but I think it should be just fine as is. But I'll show you my audio settings just in case. I don't think you have to change anything as far as I know. I did have to play around with my settings before to get it to work, but I'm pretty sure it's just the default ones. But anyway, we'll have a look anyway and see what my settings are. So these are my current settings, and I'll just go to additional options, and there. I don't think I actually changed anything as far as I can remember, but these are what the settings I have. If you think about getting into streaming, or you want to know how to hook up an Elgato capture card with your Xbox and rodecaster Duo, this is how to do it. So first of all, it might look a bit complicated, by the way, but I trust me, it's not that complicated. So first of all, you get the Xbox, you plug in your HDMI cable from the Xbox to the HDMI switch box. There are 4 inputs on my one, so you can use any of the 4 ports, or you can have up to 4 consoles connected, depending on what your setup is. And then you need a 3.5 to 3.5 audio cable. You plug one into the aux port, which in my case is the far right one, the AUX LR audio output. And then the other end you plug into adapter. Now you don't have to do this. The only reason I had a 3.5 to 3.5 is it was laying around, so I had to buy the adapter. But you probably can get, I haven't actually looked into this, but you can get a 3.5 to a 6.35 cable. So anyway, you plug that into the adapter, and then the adapter you then plug into the XLR port. There are 2 of them. I use one for my microphone. I use one now for my game audio. Then you want to get another HDMI cable, plug that into the output, the HDMI output on the switch box. Then you plug that into the input of your Elgato capture card. The Elgato capture card, as you can see in the picture there, there's a USB out as well. And that goes in from there to your PC, and that's a USB-C cable. And then you get another HDMI cable, plug it in the other side of the capture card, which is the HDMI out. You plug that in there, and then you plug that into your TV or monitor, and that is it. Now, it might sound quite complicated to explain, but it's pretty straightforward. And then once you've set that all up, it should be fine. If you look at the previous part of the video, I did do some audio. That's what my settings are, and that should be fine. You might have to like tinker around with a few settings, but more or less that is basically how you get the audio. Because when I first set this up, I don't know what settings I clicked, but I was playing like Call of Duty, and I couldn't quite hear like UAVs online for some reason, but I could hear everything else. But if you just tinker a little bit with the audio settings, you should be able to get it perfect. It should be default, I think. I'm not sure. And that's it. So thank you everyone for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. If you've got any questions, put them in the comment section. I might be able to answer them. And hope everyone has a great day. Happy streaming.